My name's Old Man Liver. That's my nickname. I am the owner of the Pioneer Saloon and the Goodsprings General Store.
And how did you come to acquire the Goodsprings store?
So there's a rumor that I won it in a poker game. I cannot confirm or deny that rumor because my attorneys are always up my ass on this kind of thing. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I acquired the Pioneer Saloon, and I've been coming here for years and always loved it. I knew there was a connection to Fallout New Vegas. I didn't know to what extent when we took over, but when I realized how many fans were so excited about the property, I wanted to create a celebration day and have more of a little mini museum that paid homage to the video game because it's an important part of our background. So I love all the Fallout New Vegas fans are wonderful, super polite, amazing. Every day we have someone new. We're open 7 days a week, and literally there's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't come out here just for the Fallout purpose.
Do you play Fallout?
I've played it, but I haven't been. I was a video game. I'm old, thus Old Man Liver in my name, right? So I grew up playing video games, but it was a different era of games, and so the last 20 years I've been busy with music and business stuff, and I haven't had the amount of leisure time that I would like to just screw around and play games. But I understand the loyalty because I grew up with Star Wars. So I'm still a huge Star Wars nerd. So, and those were the video games I focused on, the Jedi adventure type games and the, Starfighter shoot 'em up, that was kind of my era. But I'm hoping at a point in my life, my busy schedule will calm down enough where I can get back, where I can enjoy chilling to video games, including Fallout.
Did you ever play some of the Star Wars games that Obsidian put out?
Oh yeah. So to this day, that's probably the Star Wars games are the ones that I'm closest to and can still pick up and jump right back in mode. So.
But at least got that Obsidian connection, right? Even if it's Star Wars, it's still Obsidian.
Oh yeah, exactly. So
very similar look, feel, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I love it. I grew up. I was probably the first generation back in the day that grew up with video games. So I was typical, where my parents would come in and go, "Hey, you need to get off that thing you've been on playing for 24 hours." But,
what was your first system?
An Atari 2600, just to
Classic.
Totally date myself here. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's either an Atari or a Nintendo, right? It's
right.
Question,
and even Nintendo came after the Atari. Right. So that's I'm clearly older. I remember the Nintendo was like, oh my gosh. And ColecoVision was somewhere in there too. But definitely Nintendo started stepping it up. And then when Sony and Microsoft with Xbox came into competition, then the quality of video games accelerated immensely. And so it's a different world. So I'll tell kids that I talk to and stuff, you should see the graphics of the games I grew up with compared to what you guys get to enjoy. Although Minecraft was kind of a step back to the old Matrixy graphics that I was used to, so I kind of could relate to that one as well.
Let's go into the Fallout event you have coming up in November. Can you tell us anything about that?
Absolutely. So we're going to have Fallout tours. So we'll have shuttle buses that'll hit the Pioneer Saloon, as well as Hoover Dam and Prim and all that good stuff, all on a tour that you can sign up for in advance. We're going to have Trudy, the bartender's band, is going to be playing, and they'll be doing some songs of Fallout as well. We'll have Fallout karaoke. We're having a Fallout walking tour around Goodsprings that actually goes to St. Jude's charity, so it's actually a charity event. And then we'll have our a lot of people come in cosplay, so we'll do costume contests. We'll have games. We'll have usually a lot of fans will come out and set up their own. Last time we had NCR set up a whole shooting range and tent and all kinds of stuff. So we'll offer camping areas nearby. We're working on making a deal with local hotels in Prim. So hopefully we'll have some discounted hotel options for people. And it's 2 days this year instead of 1 day. And there's a good chance we'll be open 24 hours. So we didn't really promote last year, so we didn't anticipate lines out the door like what had happened. So this time we're going to anticipate it and probably just be staffed 24 hours. We'll also have sarsaparilla and food specials, guana sticks, the whole shebang. So it's going to be a lot of fun and completely crazy. We'll get more details on the actual time frames of each of these things that I'm talking about. And there'll be a point where 2 days people can kind of pick and choose what they want to attend or not attend, or they're going to try to attend everything. So we're gonna have it all.
So when do you plan to have more information out? I guess like what's a good timeline to?
Yeah. So right now it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So we'll have a lot more details by the end of this month. So hopefully before June, but a lot of people already made their travel arrangements because it'll be a full day on Saturday and a full day on Sunday. So we know a lot of people come in Friday night too. So we'll probably have karaoke, a little Fallout oriented that night too. But yeah, we'll have live bands the whole weekend and different activities and all kinds of stuff. So those details will be coming up in the next few weeks.
So for people who are coming out here, maybe they want to spend a few extra days, go see more of Nevada, what do you recommend? Places to go, places to avoid, all the...
Yeah. Well, it's, everybody enjoys coming out to Vegas anyway. And the town of Goodsprings is only 25 minutes away from the Vegas Strip. So a lot of people will tie it into, even if you're not a fan of the game, a lot of people still go visit Hoover Dam, will go visit some of the spots, the Welcome to Las Vegas sign that's on the Strip. There's a lot of neat things going on, and we're sandwiched right between SEMA and Formula One. So this is the first year that Formula One is going to be in Las Vegas. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people hit that one weekend and then hit the Fallout celebration the next weekend. But there's Vegas is just I love 24-hour cities as it is, which New Orleans and Vegas are two of my favorite cities. But there's actually beautiful Mount Charleston that's nearby. So it's about 20 degrees cooler than Las Vegas is. So in fact, in November, when our celebration is, it's November 11th and 12th, there might even be some snow up there. And people go skiing, and people don't even realize, they just think of Vegas as the hot summers and that kind of thing. But we usually get snow, and then especially Goodsprings gets snow because we are at 3,700 foot elevation, where Vegas is 2,000 foot elevation. So we're a little cooler up here anyway, and we get more snow and weather. But yeah, I'd advise people to check out the Mount Charleston. There's the Valley of Fire State Park, which is just beautiful. It's also near Las Vegas, and it's like Utah level landscape. So looks like you're on Mars or some other planet. It's gorgeous. Fremont Street is the old part of Las Vegas. It's the old Strip. Highly advise you checking that area out because it's kind of more old Vegas drink prices. So it's not what you're paying on the Strip. And it's got a cool little area called Container Park, where all the bars and shops are all made out of shipping containers. And there's this giant 3-story mechanical praying mantis that breathes fire that kind of guards the entrance to it. So it's really badass. And then there's this whole digital display that goes down Fremont Street that they run videos on and play music. There's usually live bands you can see for free. And it's just kind of neat. It's back where right now, if you walk the Las Vegas Strip, it takes like a mile for you to get from one casino to the next. But in the old Strip in Vegas, they're all real close to each other, so you can bounce in between, and it's not as big of a problem. But those are Fremont Street's also where I get a lot of inspiration, including even starting my own whiskey happened on Fremont Street. Granted, it was after a couple of whiskeys, but that's when it came to me. My old lady was like, "You need your own whiskey," and that's where that came about. So I do. For those of you that don't know, I have Old Man Liver American whiskey. In fact, this is one of the bottles that we keep around for multi-purposing. And I got spice mix and hot sauce and all kinds of good stuff under my Old Man Liver brand. But yeah, and Vegas is just, it's fun. The Bellagio is a great hotel casino to check out because they've got the big fountains that shoot up in the sky and they're free shows like every half hour. There's they have a neat garden in there where everything's made of fresh flowers and they change up the theme every so often. So I would check out, I'd check out Hoover Dam, of course, and Mount Charleston, Fremont Street, some of the hotels on the Strip like the Bellagio, and then of course the Pioneer Saloon, and Goodsprings General Store, right?
Now, before you're talking about the weather, what should I mean? We know it's an odd year this year.
Yeah. So in November it can go either way. It can be hot, it can be cold. So you'd want to bring all kinds of all-weather clothes, especially if you're jumping around because the weather, because there's so much topography out here in the West, you may be up, if you're up at Mount Charleston, you might be in the 7,000 feet elevation in the snow. If you're down in the basin of Las Vegas, it may be warm and comfortable. And so I bring a little bit of everything because it's hard to know how the weather is going to be, especially if you're jumping around Southern Nevada.
So we covered like places to go, places to avoid, anything that people should be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, in Vegas right now, there's a lot going on because we have so much, where the city is expanding and we're bringing in more professional teams. We've got the Oakland A's coming here now, so we're building a new baseball stadium. Mentioned Formula One, we're doing a lot of construction for Formula One. And so there'll be, just prepare for a little extra, allow extra time for traffic getting around, because it's these days Vegas is doing its impression of Los Angeles when it comes to traffic, especially at the rush hour times of the day. There's not really, there's bad areas like every city, but Vegas is pretty safe and clean for the most part. More often you have problems about cars getting stolen and that kind of stuff, not as so much as violent crime as you'll hear in other cities. But you'll just want to expect a little extra time for construction and the expansion we're going through. But really, Las Vegas is an amazing town, and Goodsprings is extremely safe. We've got 200 people out here. There's little to no crime. Everyone's super nice. The residents are amazing. The Goodsprings, we'll be doing walking tours and we'll point some of the stuff out, but it's kind of neat just getting out in the town, and you can see one of the oldest schools in Nevada that was founded in 1913, the same year as the saloon, and that would never be as close to this bar in modern days as it is now. So nowadays you would never be able to a bar this close to a saloon. But back in 1913, they weren't as concerned about those things. So right next to the school is also a post office box post office that's open 1 hour a day, and also the smallest library in Clark County, as it's basically just a trailer, but it is a official public library that you can go and rent out books and all that kind of good stuff. So the town of Goodsprings, as you walk around, it's kind of neat because you can still see some of the ruins from buildings that were back from the 1800s. And so unfortunately, weather and fire has taken a lot of these classic buildings down over the years. And we are the only one that's still standing and have stayed in business, which makes our bar unique. Dale had a little cough there. One big thing about the Pioneer Saloon is we are the oldest bar in all of the Las Vegas area in Southern Nevada. So that's kind of handy because no one can just open up across the street and say they're 110 years and they're the oldest. So we've always got that number one spot. We're also the oldest small business in Clark County. So those kind of things no one can ever take away from us.
Is there a likelihood for Goodsprings to grow or to see business out here?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of the residents are weary about development out here. They like the small town feel, and there's a reason that we all live out here. But on the other hand, restoration of the town is what I'm interested in. And there was a classic hotel back in the day called the Fail Hotel that was right next door. So the story of when Clark Gable came to town and waited for word of his wife, Carol Lombard, who ultimately, unfortunately, died in a plane crash over here at Potosi Mountain. He likely stayed at the Fail Hotel. Well, he did stay at the Fail Hotel while he was here. And there's some great, it was actually one of the most modern hotels in the area, including Las Vegas when it came out, because it had running water and all that stuff that wasn't a given back in the day. And so I wouldn't mind doing a little restoration of some of those businesses that used to be here. There were shops, sweet shops, and general stores, which we do have the Goodsprings General Store, but also this is where people would come out to, if they were fashionistas, to get their fancy clothes. You wouldn't go to Vegas, you'd go to Goodsprings, ironically, because back in the day we were roughly the same size. So I would love to develop a hotel nearby, whether it's the Fail Hotel or the Goodsprings Hotel or something, because it would also help residents out here that run out of space when they have guests come in town for their own guests, and then also people that come out to visit. That there's the closest hotel is about 20 miles away, so it'd be nice if there was just one across the street, and we would do a classic, cool like hotel from back in the day, where you feel like you're back in 1913, and so that's on the agenda for the long haul.
So can you tell me about the radio station out here?
Yeah, so the radio station is called K-Ghost, and it's run by a good buddy of mine, Glenn Larry. And he's also my neighbor out here in Goodsprings. So his goal was to bring radio to the town of Goodsprings, and then with the internet, you can bring some of this stuff to the whole world. So he focuses on like UFO and alien type stuff, which out here in Mojave, it's a great fit. So if you haven't had a chance, I'd recommend tuning into a show. I'm sure if you Google K-Ghost Radio Goodsprings, it'll all come up. But he's got his radio station antenna at his house next door to ours. So, which we have about 11 chickens running around our property, which is kind of cool because we recently got approval to bring the eggs in from the Nevada Agricultural Department, and we can now serve our local pasture-raised, organic, fresh farm-to-table eggs that we get from down the street. So not many restaurants can say their eggs are so fresh. It literally comes from down the street, and we can probably give you the name of the chicken that actually laid them. So that's kind of we have a lot of challenges out here being a rural bar and grill, but that's one of the benefits is that we can do more local stuff. So we're even talking to a grass-fed beef producer in nearby Sandy Valley to see if we can get his local beef into the restaurant as well. We want to do as much local fresh stuff as we can, and we house make as much as we can. Even 90% of the sauces are even house made over here, including the ranch. So that's part of our vibe. It's a local feel out here. So
the Asshole Association. Can you tell me about that and the charities?
Good question. Yeah, so the Asshole Association started in the 80s. And the story was a school that wanted to raise money and donate funds as like a Toys for Tots type event around the holidays. And someone commented like, don't even bother going and asking the people at the Pioneer Saloon over there to donate anything because they're just a bunch of assholes. So that offended, of course, the bartenders and the servers at the Pioneer at the time. So they all got together and they said, we're going to do our own toy and fundraising event, and we're going to call ourselves the Asshole Association. And it stuck, and they created an initiation for it, and it's been going through the years, and it continues to this day as a charity-based organization because we do $100 lifetime memberships. And it's mostly just a bragging thing. You get a certificate and a card that you can put in your wallet. And but that $100 goes to local charities and Goodsprings items that need extra funding, like the local schools, the volunteer fire department, the cemetery, those kind of things. So it's something you can feel good about while you're being a certified asshole. But yeah, we have a whole whole ritual, and we get people certified, and we make a big deal out of it. And it is something to brag about, because I was at a recent legitimate business convention thing, and they were talking about people. Oh, you've got you own the Pioneer Saloon, right? And one guy stood up and said, "Yeah, in fact, I'm asshole number 482 from back in the day, and when I got rid of my whole wallet, I only kept one thing that got transferred to my new wallet, and that was the asshole association card." People were very proud of it. People put the certificates up in their offices, and it's growing. We're in the 90,000 range of people who have been initiated into the Asshole Club. Occasionally, we'll have things where we'll give freebies or discounts only to Asshole members, so there are some benefits. And it may ultimately be a national organization, because we have had people approach us about franchising it to we do own the name and the trademark, and we would consider growing it to other restaurants and bars across the country if they agreed to donate a portion, or at least the initiation fees, to their local charities and community. And that way we can also just, there'll be merchandise and stuff that people can still sell, of course, but at least the basis of it will still be in a charity and community event, based event. We can talk about that. So in the town of Goodsprings, there's an elementary school, like we were just talking about. Now, there's only 2 or 3 students in this school, and there's 2 teachers, and they're great. So if you want a great education for your young kids, move to Goodsprings, because you basically get private tutoring all day long with the county paying for it. So it's a great deal. Now, there is not a middle school or high school in Goodsprings, so those students get transferred to the next town over, called Sandy Valley. So we like to donate portions of the Asshole Association to both the Goodsprings Elementary School, but also to Sandy Valley, since they're ultimately connected and can't really be separated from that standpoint. So we want to support people all the way through their schooling, and we try to support Sandy Valley as much as we can as well. And so this year, for graduating seniors, we're offering a Pioneer Scholarship, which is $1,000, and it's awarded to one person who has exceptional GPA and had to write an essay explaining how they're going to be pioneers in their industry or whatever they go to in their next phase of life. So we had 3 submissions. They were all amazing. So even though initially we didn't have it budgeted, we've had enough asshole initiations recently where we were able to offer a $1,000 scholarship and 2 $250 scholarships to the other 2, because all 3 were phenomenal, and it was very difficult picking the one that stuck out over the other one. So we're happy to be able to support the seniors at Sandy Valley High. So when someone comes out to Goodsprings, especially our Fallout fans, we just remind everyone to just be real respectful of the town and the residents. And if you do off-road tours, don't ride your off-road vehicle through the town. Keep it on the designated BLM land trails, which there are hundreds of square miles of, or thousands, plenty of space to go off-roading stuff without riding your off-roader through the town. Also, we remind people to be very respectful of the cemetery. We prefer people to not actually go in and look at the graves, because these are actual residents of the town, and it's important to a lot of people to keep that. It is sacred ground, and it's not just a video game facade. It's a real working cemetery that we're continuing to bury our friends and family out here. So please be very respectful of that. Also, with the noise and politeness, I can tell you it's been our experience with Fallout fans has been phenomenal. I've got to be honest about that. So I'm really not worried about it expanding. But being that it's probably going to grow and grow, and we are going to be the Comic-Con for Fallout, just be respectful when you're running around, that there are residents that actually live here, and they need their peace and quiet after a certain time at night. Our noise ordinance goes till 10 o'clock on the weekend, so we're safe. And like when we go late with karaoke, we close all the doors and we make sure we don't make too much noise. But just when you come to town, just keep your profile low and just look at it as if you were a resident, and how you would want to be treated, and with just walking around, and especially respect to the cemetery.
What about the elementary school?
Elementary school is something you can walk by, but you don't want to go on the property because it can get a little overwhelming for the teachers. The library is good to visit. You can go in there because our local librarian Rachel is amazing, and she's been answering Fallout questions, fans, and showing real maps compared to the Fallout maps and so on and so forth. And she's happy to give you some information if she's available and able to do that. But if you stay at Goodsprings, it's kind of weird because it's almost all privately owned. So even if you see something that looks like a historical landmark and go, oh yeah, that looks like a building from the 1800s, it's all privately owned, and you can't just walk on that land and walk through the building. And also many of them are extremely dangerous to be walking through. If there is a half-standing old building, you don't want to risk your safety anyway. But just keep in mind that the outside of the streets, most of the properties are privately owned. So you'll want to be respectful of that as well, and not accidentally walk on someone's property. It's a unique town in that way. And another thing you have to be careful of, if you're exploring the local area, this used to be a mining town. That's why that's what put Goodsprings on the map. So there are mines all over the place, and they can be dangerous. So you got to watch where you walk. You've got to, if you see a mine, don't go in it. My house down the street that I tell people is within 4.5 minutes stumbling distance of the Pioneer Saloon, it came with mine shaft. So I've got to remind people when there's little kids on the property, do not go anywhere near the mine shaft. If you go in there, you could very well die a horrible death, and not something you want to experience, because a lot of these are very easily collapsible. It's interesting, the person that sold me the house back in the day swears at one point my mine shaft connected to the Pioneer Saloon. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'd love to send a drone down there at some point, but I know it goes all the way to at least my neighbor's house, K-Ghost radio. So that's an interesting, unique. I mean, how many times do you buy a house and it comes with a mine shaft? It's kind of weird. So, but it's part of the town and part of the history. But just be careful and think safety if you're out and about roaming and exploring.